So what is meaningful engagement meant to you, and how has it benefited you? Jerry, if it's okay, I'll start with you.
Okay. I spoke earlier about the fact that I had known about the Alzheimer Society. And so once we had a diagnosis, Peter and I felt that I wanted to reach out to them, that I felt I needed, even with my background and experience in healthcare and seniors, that I needed some support. And I think the most important thing is to be able to reach out, that we know that there's a safe place to talk about it. And the Alzheimer Society has done that for so long. And I can't say enough about the society and the wonderful people who are there and the volunteers who agree to come along and help us through some of these difficult stages of our journey. But when Peter was first diagnosed, there was an offer from the Victoria Society to have Peter join an early stage group. And so I thought, well, this is wonderful. He will share with others who are in a similar situation that he's in. He was always very open about his illness. He spoke about it. He spoke about it publicly. He spoke about it to friends. He encouraged others to talk about it. And so I thought he'd be having a wonderful time in an early stage group talking with other people that were experiencing some of the things that he was. In the meantime, I drove him to the early stage group, and I thought, well, there's not enough time to go home and come back. I'll stay in the lobby. Well, what I discovered was that there were about 10 or 11 other people driving their loved ones to the early stage group, and we all ended up in the lobby waiting for our loved one to finish his or her session. So the first time in the lobby, we kind of said hello to each other and we had magazines and books and we were kind of, and the second time we were there, the week later, we started to talk together and we started to share some of our experiences together. And the bond started to form with this group with shared experience, even though each journey is unique. There were common threads that ran through, and we formed the Victoria Alzheimer Society Lobby Support Group. And we had those weeks of talking and sharing and 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 we got to the place where we were willing to share really difficult stories and some very profound events that had happened in our life with our loved one and the Alzheimer journey. And so we stayed as friends after that. We connected with each other in a way that was so meaningful through a great deal of the time that I had Peter with me for 10 years. And I think that that's a, a most sort of valuable kind of experience, that sharing and finding others and the bond that gets formed because we have a common concern, common love of our person, and we need to be able to find a safe place to talk about it. And the Alzheimer Society provided that for us.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, I can't speak enough about the power of having others who are experiencing what you're experiencing, just to have them in your corner, to build your network, and have somebody you can go to, if you're having a bad day.
And the other thing is that often another person may have had a similar experience and has a solution or has things to suggest to make it easier. And so it was that sort of network and relationship and in the helping sort of relationship that was so valuable for all of us.
So much shared knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, Ian, I'd like to ask you the same question, just how you have personally benefited from meaningful engagement opportunities in your life.
Uh, Very similar to Jerry's experience, that support good groups in general But particularly with the Alzheimer Society, we have a LGBT support group, or I don't know the acronym now. It might be 2S LGBTQ or what have you. We have differing letters now for lesbian and gay and bisexual, transgender people, and various different definitions that people might have of themselves. But the Alzheimer Society had started in Vancouver an LGBT support group. And so at the time I was involved with caring for my dad. He was living in Gibsons, where we'd all grown up at our family home. And my mom was in Vancouver. She'd separated and divorced from my dad many years earlier, had a second husband who had passed away. My mom was living in Vancouver. And so coming and going between these locations, I'd be able to stomp off in Vancouver for these LGBT support group meetings, which were hugely important, because lesbian and gay people in our society, as people are probably generally aware, we have sometimes a tough path, with all kinds of things thrown at us. There's a big campaign right now that's ongoing, where people are being bombarded with disinformation about lesbian and gay people. So through all of that, you have extra sort of barriers that get in the way. And so to be able to be with other lesbian and gay people who are caring for their loved ones, I'm involved with my parents. We had people in the group who would be involved with their parents, but over time, the group is changing over many times. We had a lot of people caring for their loved ones, their partners, some of whom are from the days when their relationship was illegal and they weren't allowed to be married and had to be secret and so on. So also with trans people, people who had transitioned very, very, decades ago, and came out of the process with just all kinds of concerns about the medical profession, and then having dementia as a trans person. It's a whole extra ball game of complications that you have there. So just for myself, I found that was very helpful, to be with other gay men and lesbians who are part of my normal kind of social circle in this new caregiving setting. Additionally, though, I'd like to flag just support groups in general for anyone. If there's anybody listening today who is thinking about it, sometimes there might be a bit of a wait list to get into a support group. The Alzheimer Society has the LGBT support group, which is province-wide. It's an online support group, which you can join by phone if you're not using the computer. So we do have always people, and from all over the province, we have people that are participating by phone or by computer, but also the in-person support groups or other online support groups. It's really helpful, just for all the reasons, as Jerry says, that people have tips or things that have been successful for what's worked with them. You're going through different stages of a lengthy journey, and so people will be at different places on the journey. You get an aspect of what's coming next, and overall, I find that really helpful. I find that I'm always amazingly boosted when I get to go. You have a moan about, these things going on in one's life that are so complicated. It's been hugely helpful having the Alzheimer Society on board with this. So the LGBT support group has been a really powerful link for me.
Thank you for sharing that, Ian. And I'm glad you're able to find a safe place to speak about your experiences, free from judgment, and connect with others who truly get what you're going through. So, and thank you for being an advocate for that group and raising awareness. I think that's so important.